Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Waiting for you.
Bajo, bajo, baj, Chaitanya Nitai, Sudrida Vishwasa Kori. Vishaya Chariya, Sera Se Madhiya, Muke Bolo Hari Hari. Parama Karuna, Bahuduhi Jana, Nitai Gaura Chandra. Dekho re bhai, Tribhuvanana, Yamuna Doyala Data. Dekho re bhai, Tribhuvanana, Yamuna Doyala Data. Pashupaki jore, pasana vidare, suni jande guna jata. Parama karuna, bahudugi jana, nitai gaura chandra.
All the ways to the lotus feet of Nityam. True Lords, Nityam are very merciful. They are essence of all incarnations. The specific significance of these incarnations is that they introduce the process of chanting and dancing. That is simply chanting. Okay. Jnanatirandasya jnananjanasharaya chakshurmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Ramayanam Dadati Savanam Vasudevam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Shri Guru Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagadam Sahagana Satsatvam Sarvaitam Sarunam Vaidanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Sarvana Shri Sharanasya Hare Krishna Sindhu Dinamdo Jagate Gopesha Gopika Namaste Tapakachana Gauraki Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Krishnam Sudhe Vacharapurusha Kripasindhubhyacha Padivana Bhavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Vishnupaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prasari Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vastrapati Namaha Pratyaya Krishna Prema Pradaya Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namo Brahmanya Devaya Devogaya Jai Krishnaya Govindaya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Srinvadam Swagata Krishna Punyashkarayam Vidayastavi Yavadrani Ede Cham Sakala Punsara Krishna Suparmasmaya Indriyari Vyakalam Lokam Indriyante Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandana Namo Pankajanaaya Namo Pankajanaaya So good morning. So now we will recite from Srimad Bhagavata, Canada 1, Chapter 9, Text 39. So this sloka is part of Vishnu Stuti. Yeah. Jaya Rata Kudumbata Totre Tritahaya Rashmi Dachekshaniye Bhagavati Ratirastu Bemusho Yam Hina Nirisha Swarupam. Does anyone want to try? Second. 1.9.39. So we'll read the synonym translation, then you can proceed. Vijaya, Arjuna, Ratha, chariot, Kutumbe, the object of protection at all risks. Attathotri, with the whip on his right hand. Dhrutahaya, controlling the horses. Rashmini, ropes. Tatshriya, beautifully standing. Ikshaniya, to look at. Bhagavati, on to the personality of Godhead. Rati Astu, let my attraction be, may my Mumursha, one who is about to die, young, upon whom Iha in this world, Nirikshya, by looking, Ataha, those who died, Gataha, attained, Swarupam, the original form. Translation. At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjuna, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained the original forms after death. Okay, anyone wants to recite this slogan? Quantities and also say. Translation. Unpurport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The pure devotee of the Lord constantly sees the presence of the Lord within himself because of being constantly related by his loving service. Such a pure devotee cannot forget the Lord for a moment, and this is called trance. Trance is also called samadhi. The mystic yogi tries to concentrate upon the super soul by controlling the senses from other engagements. Thus, he ultimately attains samadhi. A devotee more easily attains samadhi or trance by constantly remembering the Lord's personal feature along with his holy name, fame, pastimes, etc. Therefore, the concentration of the mystic yogi and that of a devotee are not on the same level. The concentration of the mystic is mechanical in nature, more procedural oriented, whereas the pure devotee is natural, in pure love and spontaneous affection. Bhishmadev was a pure devotee, and as a military marshal, he constantly remembered the battlefield feature of the Lord as Partha Sarathi, the chariot driver of Arjuna. Therefore, the Lord's pastimes as Partha Sarathi is also eternal. The pastimes of the Lord, beginning from his birth at the present house of Kamsa, up to the Moksha Leela. So, Moksha Leela means the last ending pastimes of the Lord, especially the Leela which connected to his departure. All move one after the other in the universes, just as the clock hand moves from one point to another. And in such pastimes, his associates like the Pandavas and Bhishma are constant eternal companions. So Bhishmadev never forgot the beautiful feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi. So Parthasarathi is the object of worship for Bhishmadev, which even Arjuna could not see. So why should Arjuna see? Because Arjuna was behind. And the form of Parthasarathi was visible to people who fought against Arjuna, and Bhishma fought against Arjuna, so he was able to visit that form. So Bhishmadev never forgot the beautiful picture of the Lord Parthasarathi. Even Arjuna could not see. Arjuna was behind the beautiful Parthasarathi, but Bhishmadev was just in front of the Lord. As far as the military feature of the Lord is concerned, Bhishmadev observed that this with more relation than Arjuna. So Bhishmadev was a Dasya Bhakta, but was experiencing weariness. So that's why Prabhupada uses the word military feature. Okay. All soldiers and persons on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attain the original spiritual form like the Lord of their death. Swarupa. Because by the causeless mercy of the Lord, they were able to see him face to face on that occasion. The conditioned souls rotating in this evolutionary cycle from the aquatics up to the form of Brahma are all in the form of Maya, or the form of time by one's own actions and our by material nature, the karmic action and reactions. The material forms of the conditioned soul are all foreign to us. And when the conditioned soul becomes liberated from the clutches of material energy, he attains his original form. So that means he lets go his material body, just a body breath, and takes on the spiritual form. The difference is the spiritual form is only one. It's not that you have many spiritual forms, but material forms we keep taking out of 84 lakh species every time we take birth. So you can see how temporary material forms are. The impersonalist wants to attain the impersonal Brahman effulgence of the Lord, but it is not at all congenial to the living sparks, parts and parcels of the Lord. So out of the 5 muktis, this is also one mukti, the Sahijam, the impersonal feature of the Lord. Therefore, the impersonalists again fall down and get material forms, which are all false to the spirit soul. Right? So we talked about foreign dress, he again is going to wear the same foreign dress after he falls down from that impersonal Brahman. A spiritual form like the Lord, either 200 or 400, is attained to the devotee of the Lord, either the Vaikunthas or the Goloka planet, according to the original nature of the soul. So this is the, out of the 5 muktis, the 4 personal muktis. Right? That's what Prabhupada is talking about. Swalubhya, Salokya, Sarishti, so this form, which is universal spiritual, is Swarupa of the living being. And all the living beings who participate in the battlefield of Kurukshetra on both sides attain this Swarupa as confirmed by Bhishmadev. So just by seeing the Lord, they did not do 16 rounds chanting and 4 rings, nothing. They just saw the Lord. in the battlefield, they attained a sort of whatever their original constitutional spiritual position was, they went and attacked that back. So Lord Sri Krishna was not merciful only to the Pandavas, but he was also merciful to all parties, because all of them attained the same result. Samoham Sarvabhuta issue is confirmed here, because he just not liberated only from the Pandava side, he also liberated from the Kaurava side. Which they wanted the same facility also, and that was his prayer to the Lord. Although his position as an associate of the Lord is assured in all circumstances, the conclusion is that whoever dies looking at the personality of God within or without attains his Rupa, which is highest perfection of life. So this sloka is teaching us many wonderful things. This is one of the most important slokas in Bhishma Stuti. So here there are two things. One thing is about the consciousness of a devotee, the relationship of a devotee with the deity, with the Lord, and what sort of bhava, the rasas that is exchanged. The second is the concept of the art of leaving this body. So that's what we should have this one. Who left his body, seeing the form of the Lord, what happened to him? He attained his Swarupa Mukti. That means he went and got his original form back and back to Godhead. So Krishna is yearning for such a situation. Right? So both themes are there in this sloka. So we try to cover. So now we have challenge time 8:54. So it looks like there's a Sharani program today, it's 8:45. So we have 45 minutes. We'll see how much we can cover. Maybe I have to condense a lot of those things which I thought I want to speak. We'll try to focus on the essence of the message. Bhaktum Samartakam. By this tongue, we want to chant the holy name of the Lord. But we want to chant the holy name of the Lord when we do the absorption, then it is Amrita. Right? So what is Amrita? Acharya writes that is it's a combination of Mrityu. Mrityu is death. So Amrita gives an opportunity to get out of this condition, existence of life. So hence it says this is Amrita. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srimad Rupa Goswami talks about 64 limits of bhakti. Says by practicing these 64 limits of bhakti, one can attain love of God to the best possible extent. But in real terms, 64 limits of bhakti is not possible to practice at all, or very close to difficult. Maybe Srimad Rupa Goswami was able to practice. So hence, looking at conditioned souls like us, who are having a lot of difficulties trying to balance between material life and spiritual life and all sorts of things, he condensed the 64 limits of bhakti into 5. Right? So he talked about 5 aspects of devotion. So what are the 5 aspects of devotion he talked about? He talked about sadhu sangha. Hearing. Okay, Bhagavad Gita. Shravanam or Bhagavad Gita. Then Matravasi. Panchamuti Rashila, yes. One more we left. Chanting. So, the Sankirtana. Now, by performing these 5 limits of bhakti, Rupa Goswami sort of did the mapping. If you do this 5 properly, it is equivalent to doing the 64 limits of bhakti. So that's the mercy of Acharya. Right? Because Acharya's mercies don't exist, then we have to struggle hard to practice all the 64, and that's when you get qualified. Okay, you've done something in it. Now, recently I was reading one book, talks about the importance of attentive hearing while chanting, or attentiveness in a Bhagavata class. Very brilliantly it was narrated. And what the author writes is, there's a difference between childish mentality and matured adult mentality. So in a class or in a forum, when we all sit, generally the adults are focused on the learning subject. What do children do? Children, they are playful, they are inattentive in nature. And that is their way of being present in a particular forum or association. So when they get into that mode, so the parents can track them out of it. Okay, hey, you're doing this, you're doing that. But imagine if the elder is also behaving, then Maya says, oh, this elder is also not an elder, he's a childish personality. Why? Because he is demonstrating inattentiveness. So a chance for Maya. What does Maya want? Maya doesn't want us to practice Krishna consciousness. The moment we practice Krishna consciousness, we become an enemy to Maya. Right? So Maya is deprived of her, that she's feeling I'm getting defeated. So Maya is always looking for an opportunity. Oh, if anyone is inattentive in the Bhagavata class, if anyone is inattentive in chanting, he is my candidate. I'm going to get him. Right? I hope we'll all be attentive in the Bhagavata class. Prahlad Maharaj offers prayers in the seventh canto. Right? He offers brilliant prayers. There's one sloka that really attracted me from chapter 9, 43rd sloka. Maivot Vijay Parat Durantyaya Vaitaranyas Tvat Virya Gayan Mahamrita Magna Chitta. The expression for this is very brilliant. He says, one who's practicing these things need not be afraid of being afraid of any material tribulations. He can easily cross this river of vitality, or he is equating that to the message in the material world. Yes, he can easily cross. So, by practicing Virya Gaya Mahamrita Magna Chitta, that one can easily cross this material ocean and reach the love of God. We need to invest our time and effort to practice these things. That should be the core of our practice of practice. When we see a tree which is tall, the tree may have lots of fruits on it. Right? The tree may have fruits on top of it. The tree may have fruits throughout the entire body, even the low-hanging fruits. When we come to Krishna consciousness, the initial days of spiritual journey, we quickly take on many things. Right? Why? Because the trees have low-hanging fruits, easy to catch them, grab them, and eat. And you see your progress as stepping stones in Krishna consciousness are much quicker in those earlier days. But as you progress in Krishna consciousness, what happens? The low-hanging fruits are now all over. You have to go to the next level of the fruits which are at higher state. Which is difficult, right? So if you have to climb a tree which is taller, you have to climb and get those fruits, it's more difficult. And as you progress, as you practice more and more, you see the journey becomes much more challenging. Right? The top of the tree, the fruit which is the supreme Prince nectar, is far more challenging to get. So, our practices of sadhana, practices of Vaishnava Sadachara, the 5 S, all the 5 S, must be exempted. And we need to focus on how we get closer and better. But that is the effort of it that we need to put. But what about the mercy of the Acharya? So once we understand the mercy of the Acharya is there in books. Srila Prabhupada's mercy is there in his books. By taking association of his books on regular basis, you get respect. So the Acharya says, this tree, which has got this fruits, what it does, it bends. And it bends and makes one, the tallest fruit, the topmost fruit, which is difficult to get, becomes a low-hanging fruit that you can take it. So, practice of sadhana and practice of service to reap the mercy of the acharyas, of Vaishnavas. both combined together, God we get love for God. In Bhagavata 10 or 10, Krishna says, Tesam Satata Yuddhana Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Tadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mahamayam. So he says, one who practices devotion with faith and commitment, to such a person, what is Krishna commits? Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mahamayam. Says, I who is residing in you will give you the knowledge, will give you all the path to succeed in this devotional service. Right? Now, you can dissect this in two aspects. Krishna dealing with the devotee, Krishna dealing with the non-devotee. For a devotee, Krishna is able to give us ashraya, his shelter. That means he is Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mahamayam. That means from within he is giving all the directions. How one can take up his life, how he can move forward in his spiritual life. How we get to know all the anarthas and how we can climb the ladder of higher and higher platforms of consciousness. Consciousness evolution is directed by Krishna. But for non-devotees, what Krishna does, he also takes care of the non-devotees. As Paramatma, he says, okay, whatever you want, facilities are awarded. Facilities awarded, you can enjoy. Right? He probably makes a checklist. Okay, all these things are done, and I'm going to keep noting down whatever you are going to do as productive activities. So you see, Lord, when he reciprocates, he teaches the path of liberation to devotees, but maybe for non-devotees, he may not teach the path of liberation because still they're not ready to accept those facts. Right? So non-devotees never care to take instruction from the Lord. And therefore the Lord is silent in that case. He just witnesses their actions. So the difference is that devotees, when they start to practice, whatever the Lord gives as mercy, they accept it as Mahaprasad. It could be tribulations or it could be happiness. So that's exactly what the Pandavas demonstrated. Pandavas and Bhishma. Look at the life of Pandavas. How much of tribulation is in their life? Right from their birth all the way. Imagine the child being born to a mother there is no father. That was the beginning of birth of the Pandavas. Right? So Pandavas went through all kinds of tribulations, but they accepted every tribulation as Mahaprasad. Right? So they exemplified tribulation. But Lord also doesn't stop there. The Lord, identify, these great devotees are eternal associates of the Lord. The Lord also uses these devotees in order to teach the rest of the world. Krishna used Arjuna to teach the rest of the world, and by that, we got the Bhagavad Gita. So hence, Bhishma identifies Krishna as a friend of Arjuna, and it is very important that I worship his Lord's feet. The pure devotee of the Lord accepts tribulations as favors of the Lord. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no difference between mundane and between the two aspects of happiness and distress. Krishna says, Nana Prakasha Sarvasya Yormaya Samapra. People cannot understand me because I'm covered by the screen of yoga. But I am neutral to all of them. I give equal opportunity to everyone. Some of them are foolish. So pure devotee will manifest in, if we have different forms of pure devotion. Suddha Bhakta, Akinchana Bhakta, Uttama Bhakta, Paramahamsa. So different forms of pure devotees, they exhibit their characteristics. So Bhishma Dev, even though he was fighting against the Pandavas, his quality of consciousness, his devotion to Krishna, demonstrated exemplary qualities. So you can see that this Mahabharata war was victory for Arjuna. But look at the starting of the sloka, what Rupa writes in his book. He says, even though, Arjuna was considered to be victorious in this warfare, but all the people, living entities who saw Krishna in the battlefield, they also got liberated, they got Swarupam. Right? So, in true sense, you see that Krishna liberated everyone who connected with him in a direct manner or indirect. So, hence, Krishna Dev is so much pleased with this and he offers his prayers. So, this sloka, Senayor Vayor Madhye, Ratam Stapaye, Me Achyuta. So, when Arjuna takes Krishna in between the army fields, so, even though Arjuna, as a warrior, he knows every aspect, the strength, the personality is on both sides, he knows everyone up to date, but he's still asking Krishna to drive him through it because in the initial aspects, you may look at Arjuna being ignorant. Prabhupada writes, he's polluted intelligence. He uses the word polluted intelligence. So it looks like Arjuna is in a state of ignorance and Krishna is trying to enlighten him by teaching him the Bhagavata. But actually it is not. So they are playing the role of the Lord and the devotee in order to enhance or save the people of this body. So hence Bhishma is now quoting this statement. As a friend of Arjuna, I want to lay my obeisance. That particular form. So I've just condensed the entire understanding or prayers of Bhishma on the Lotus feet of Krishna. So it says, he enjoyed the dust covered the Lord, the blood oozing out, and the arrow piercing the body of the Lord. The battlefield was so intense that the dust moved from the mud and started to cover the hair, the skin of the Lord, and all these things. And Bhishma, when he looked at it, he enjoyed the form. So he's explaining, Prabhupada is explaining that Arjuna in the form of Parthasarathi, holding the bridles. Bridles are the ropes that controls the horse. And the whip, right? That is the form that I'm looking at. And Rupa concludes that this form, Parthasarathi, is an eternal form. It's not a form that just got manifested in this practice. These demonstrate great relationship between devotee and the Lord. The Lord, sitting in the heart, knows what the devotee wants, and accordingly, the Lord is making up a situation to show the form of to the Lord. Before in the process of fighting with Arjuna, he fires many arrows at Arjuna. But being a charioteer sitting in front of the chariot, many of these arrows they pierce the body of the Lord. The blood is oozing out. It's very confusing for a non-devotee to understand this because he may say, hey, how you can fire the arrows at the Lord and then see the blood oozing and then call that as devotion. So what we learn in the second chapter of Bhagavata? We learn that spirit as a matter, spirit cannot be pierced by or weathered or killed or any form of destruction cannot be imparted to a soul. And Krishna is Satchidananda Vigraha. So by firing an arrow, it is not that you are piercing his material body and the blood oozes out. So that is the understanding, the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. So when this question is asked to Prabhupada, so Prabhupada said, Krishna knows when to convert his body so that the blood can come out when an arrow pierces it, and when to be fully spiritual. So he can do it in such a dynamic state. Rupa explains it. So Rupa gives an example, an analogy of Raslila. In the Raslila, what happens? The gopis, they play intimate pastimes with the Lord. When they play the intimate pastimes with the Lord, some of the gopis might even bite Krishna on his ears, on his fingers. But it is not that the Lord takes that as an offense. It is an expression and reciprocation of love. So similarly, the firing of the arrows of Vishnu on Krishna is also treated on the same aspect of devotion. That's what Prabhupada's writing is its explanation. The presence of the Lord in the battlefield. If you look at many people, they comment saying that Arjuna did not want to fight the war, but Krishna instigated him to fight the war. So that's how they accuse. But in reality, what happened? It was not mass killing, it was mass liberation. Right? If everyone on the battlefield got liberated and back to back. Otherwise, they would have been born again, Punarapi, etc. So you see how Lord is Sugadam Sarvabhuta, all the time looking for the welfare of the living beings. So the intellect of Arjuna, and through him you are teaching the whole world, and to that personality I am paying my obeisances. So Vishmadev is continuously paying obeisances on various aspects of the Lord, how he is friendly to all the living beings. He's paying obeisances that you enlighten the whole world by preaching the Bhagavata. He's paying obeisances by saying that, oh, the Lord was so merciful that he was able to show his Parthasarthi form. So we know the story, the 5 arrow story, just well repeated again and again in every Bhagavatam sloka. This 5 arrow story is all about Bhishmadev wanting to kill the Pandavas the next day because Duryodhana puts a lot of pressure on him that he is one-sided. He is siding the Pandavas. So anyway, the fasting goes where Arjuna comes and meets Duryodhana and says that you have a boon. So as part of the boon, you please return those arrows to me. So he takes the weapons. Bhishma, when he comes to know this, what does he know? That he understands the plan of the Lord. So he takes a vow that he will fight so fiercely that I will make my Lord take his weapon. The next day in the battlefield, Vishmadev fought so fiercely, but not to kill Arjuna, but in order to Krishna to break his promise. So Krishna, you see how is he worked towards Allah. He broke his promise by getting down of the chariot, takes the wheel, and fears us at Bhishma like a lion. He runs towards Bhishma like a lion. And then he shows that form to Bhishma. On one side, it looks like he's going to kill Bhishma, but actually, he is so merciful that he wants to award what is the one that nourishes the devotee's heart. So he shows that form to Bhishma. Right? So to that Lord, he pays his obeisances. So like that, you see, Bhishma's prayers are so wonderful that he is offering those prayers to the Lord in the bar of Dasya Baba and Veer. And he finally says, oh Lord Mukunda, you are my gati, you are my destination. To you, I'm certain. Right? So like that, in this Vishnu Stuti, you can see many of these aspects are being demonstrated. Prabhupada writes so brilliantly in all these slokas, the consciousness of a devotee, the relationship between devotee and the Lord, and how one can understand the practice of devotion. So, the second part of it is the salvation. Salvation is the art of living the body. If you read Bhagavad Gita, if you read Bhagavata, There are many slokas that tells about how to live in the body. Today we have many life coaches, right? Who teaches us how to live the life, but we don't have death coaches who will have to teach us how to live this life. That's what ISKCON is specialized in. They teach us how to leave this body. How many slokas are there? Janma karma chame Nityam. It tells if you understand past and activities of the Lord, you can have a wonderful departure. Yam yam bhaktisnaran bhakam, sajatyante kaleva, antakale kshamamne, smaran mutsu kaleva. So there are so many slokas in Bhagavatam, Bhagavata that teaches us the art of living the body. So devotees, they practice their entire life. They practice their entire life and pass every stages of exams in their life in order to clear the final exam. The final exam of art of living the body. So that's the whole aspects of our devotion life. What is the state of our consciousness? Do we have these qualities of tolerance and humility developed through practices? Do we have the mentality of service attitude? Do we see all the living entities as my friends? Mitra? Do I have attachment to the lotus feet of that Lord? Kulashekara talks about the span which starts to, at the time of leaving its body, it starts to burn around the stem of the lotus. And then, clinging on to the lotus stem, it tries to leave its body. Very brilliant it is. Even an animal which has got only 5 senses knows these aspects of what holding on to the lotus feet to leave the body. But we humans, we tend to oversee these things. In fact, his prayers are what? His prayers are, oh Krishna, when I am old, I have this problem of this kapha and all these things that may get suffocated in my entire body and my voice may get choked. My eyes might not be able to see you, I may not be able to think you, my senses may be completely filled with all these things that I may fail to perform my devotion. So it's better that I leave my body when I am having all these things intact. So that's what we hear, we learn from great devotees. I want to narrate an analogy about how we get trained in our aspects of devotion. Once I was in a basketball camp. In this basketball camp, even before you go play your basketball, they actually teach you lots of details. How you move around, how you focus on the ball. So like that, they teach about the game, they teach about your body postures, they teach about so many things. And after teaching you, when they let you to play, they keep fine-tuning how you actually play. So that you become successful as a basketball player. I'm just wondering, there's so much of importance given in the material plane to achieve one thing very successful. How much of training do I take for myself? In training my consciousness to understand the art of living this body. Right? So, Bhagavata teaches that. Bhagavata teaches many such stories. How we mend our consciousness so that we can fix ourselves and work with Krishna. And that's the real art. In this process, I got attracted to this one sloka which I'm going to read. So this comes from the last part of the first canto, chapter 19. Right? So we'll read this sloka. It's very interesting. It is 16th sloka. Bhagavata Bhagavattanante Pratihi Prasangascha Tatashrayeshu Mahasuyamyam upayami shrishti Maitri astu sarvatra namodvijebhyah. So this pastime, this sloka is talking about three themes. It tells, again and again, I am offering obeisances unto you all the brahmanas. I pray that if I should take birth again in this material world, if at all I should take birth in material world again, three things he is asking us to pray. The first, I will have complete attachment unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. Second, association with the devotees of Krishna. Third, friendly and loving relation with all the living entities. So these are three prayers that he's offering. So who's offering this? So this is what actually happens. You know the story of Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj, in a situation that he enters the ashram of Shamika Rishi. Being a king, he felt that he was not respected and received. So what he did, he took the skin of a dead snake and offered as a garland to Shamika Rishi because he was in trance or meditation. So he could not even recognize the king. Parikshit went away. Probably he went back to this kingdom and he repented for his action. No, I should have not done that. And I should be awarded the right punishment for my mistake. So while he is repenting, what happened on the other side was his son, Shingi, he touched the water of Ganges and he awarded the curse. What the curse? That he will die in 7 days. This news comes to Shamika Rishi and then he feels, oh, my son should have not done that because Parikshit is a virtuous king, is a great king. And for such a small reason, a Brahmana should have never reacted and should have never cursed. But still, he calls the servant, Gauramuka, and tells him, go and deliver this message to the king. So he goes, Gauramuka goes to the kingdom and delivers this message that the curse has been awarded, that you will leave your body in 7 days. Parikshit Maharaj did not wait even for a minute. He immediately called his subjects and he called his son Janavajaya. And then he had out his kingdom. He renounced all his material duties. He went to the bank of the Ganges and started to offer his prayers. There, many rishis, sages, they all came and assembled because they want to be with Parikshit Maharaj at the time that he's going to leave his body. At the time, he's when he offers his prayers. So, what are the prayers he offers? He says that if at all I take birth in this material world again, I should have complete faith and complete attachment to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Supreme Lord Krishna. Second, he says association of the devotees of the Lord. Third, he says, I need to be, if at all I'm born again, I have to be a mitra, friend to all the living entities. Right? So here when he says mitra to all the living entities, he's talking about devotees and non-devotees. See, this is the view, the consciousness of the pure devotee. Right? But leave us, we would say, oh Lord, whether I have anarthas or not, whether I'm all right or not, please take me back home, back to Godhead. But the pure devotees, they're always in the mood of service. In Damodarashtakam also we see that here it's the same thing, right? Which is the one? Varam Deva Mokshana Mokshan Bhariva So what do we said in this verse? We say, oh my God, I'm not looking for moksha and all these things. I want to be an eternal servant, birth after birth, birth after birth, serving a pure spirit, right? So this is the quality and the nature of pure devotion. In the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavata, There's a beautiful story, the end part of the canto, where Krishna and Balaram are visiting Mathura on a tour. So while they visited Mathura, there was a great devotee in Mathura by name Sudama. So Sudama was a florist. Rather than florist, I would say he makes garlands, wonderful garlands he makes. So when the news came that Krishna and Balaram along with his associates they are visiting Mathura, all the Mathuravasi's, they just left whatever work they're doing. Then they came to see Krishna. Some they received Krishna by performing like Aarti and all those things. Some they went out to the balconies and all these places and then they started to witness Krishna. And so that was the mood when Krishna Balaram were entering Mathura. But when Krishna and Balaram came to Mathura, even though there were thousands and thousands of these living entities wanting to witness, take darshan of Krishna, but Krishna inquired about Sudama. He kept inquiring with various people, where is the Sudama? I want to go to his house. And finally he reaches the house of Sudama. Now look at the contrasting behavior. All the living people in Mathura, they came running to see Krishna, but Sudama did not come to see Krishna. He was busy doing his service of garlanding. So when Krishna Balaram entered the house, they just stood there, and Sudama was very busy knotting the flowers, making this garland. Suddenly he turned his head and then saw a blue color feet of Krishna. So then he little took his head up, then he saw his pitambar, the yellow glaring pitambar. Then he took his head up again, little up, and then he saw his beautiful navel, the lotus navel. Then he took his head up again, he saw his neck, then he saw his beautiful face. He was stunned for a minute. And then he got up. I mean, this place was so much of flowers and so many family around. He could not even pay full dandavarts. He paid half dandavarts, lotus feet of Krishna. After paying the lotus feet, paying obeisances, immediately what he did, he took the garland that was being made and then asked Krishna and offered the garland to Krishna. He offered one garland to Krishna, then he took another garland he offered to Balaram. But he didn't stop there. He also offered the garlands to all his associates who came. So Krishna was very pleased. Look at the prayers of Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj prayers are attachment to the lotus feet of Krishna, association to the devotees, friendly with all living. Look at the same consciousness he is demonstrating. He is demonstrating the same consciousness. And this is called Uttama. When Krishna sees that, he's so pleased. He hugs him and then he asks him, what is it that you want? When he asked that to Sudama again offered the same slogan, the same prayers, he asked the same things. Oh my Lord, I don't know whether I have eligibility to get liberated, but if at all I'm going to be born again in this material world, please give me lotus feet of your association, unflinching faith and attachment to your lotus feet, association of the Vaishnavas or the Brahmanas or the devotees, and being a mitra to the whole world. So that's the same prayer he also. So you see, this is the consciousness that one should develop by practicing our journey in devotion. If you are able to practice these things as consciousness, then what happens at the time of death? Krishna promises that even though a devotee may not remember me due to various situations, due to health or whatever may be, but I manifest in his heart, I make him to remember, I manifest in his mind, I make him to remember me. That is perfection of life. That's exactly what we understand from the life of Bhishma Dev, we understand from the life of the Pandavas. We understand from the past tense of Parikshit. So hence, let us go into a different gear now. Krishna Conscious 2.0. Evolve our consciousness to something like this, what our great devotees have shown the path to. It is Krishna enacting these qualities, Krishna enlightening us with the Bhagavad Gita through his devotees. And let's learn from them and practice devotion. Okay. So I've been given time until 9:30. So I will stop here. A lot of stories I want to narrate and sort of cut short. There is one story that I just want to narrate in a very short manner about Prabhupada. That when someone is in devotion, how there is no fear, how there is blissful state at all point in time, is when Prabhupada was in Calcutta. That's when the World War II was happening. And that region of West Bengal was much closer to Bangladesh, Burma, and all those places. So we had a lot of infiltrations under the attacks happening. So the evenings, the planes would fly over, and then the sound of the bombs would come. And then they would drop the bombs. So Prabhupada's wife, Radharani, she used to be very fearful what's going to happen. These bombs fall on us. Prabhupada, what was he doing? He was busy making puris. Puris with ghee, right? And he was making puris with ghee, and then he was chanting the holy name of Krishna. Said, when the name of Krishna is being chanted, wherever there is Bhagavatam that is being recited, wherever there is Srimad Bhagavatam being discussed along with devotees, whenever the slokas of Bhagavatam being recited, the depth of Yamaraj cannot enter that area. Right? So, always take shelter of Bhagavatam. Not just, Sunday, but every day, take shelter of Bhagavatam. To understand these past tense narrated by Acharyas, their commentaries, and nourish our heart about these things. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Rupa ki jai. Hidayat Gaur Premanande.
So, if you're not from inside, it's not.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, are you open to 2 questions?
Yes, sure. Correct. If I can answer them.
Thank you very much for the wonderful class. 2 things come about in your, like you started the class, and 2 things came about the shloka. From my side, 2 things come out from my end. First thing is, you mentioned, you took a comparison between children and adults. Okay. So now you have to tell me whether having the consciousness of under 5 like Kumaras is better, or to grow up like an adult and never mature. I think growing up is an impediment to Krishna consciousness. That's one aspect. The second aspect is, in my opinion, Bhishma Deva is a Kshatriya, and he has failed miserably in his duty as a Kshatriya, the Kshatriya's duties. Similarly, in our sadhana bhakti, when we don't do our sadhana bhakti properly, at the end of my life, if I'm just going to say I'm going to take a gun and shoot myself dead and think of Krishna, will Krishna listen to my prayers and benedict me, just like what Bhishma Deva is aspiring for? Is my prayers violence? These are the 2 things I'd like some clarification.
So, first question is within my limits of ability to answer. Second question is more complicated. Maybe some senior Vaishnavas can enlighten me helpful. I'll take a try at the first question. The first question is, I was trying to give an analogy of childish mentality. Okay. Childish mentality is playful, not able to understand the importance of certain aspect, and becoming inattentive in the whole process. So, in a class, a child may not, for example, see that child is writing something. He may not be able to understand because he's not paying attention to details. But as adults, If we sit in a class and we do the same thing, then we are also demonstrating childish situations. So if we have evolved, we should not just evolve physically, but we should also evolve in our consciousness. We should evolve mentally also. Why are we coming to a Sunday feast class to the temple? It is not about, okay, I came, ate prasadam, did something, I went back home. That is one level. But you need to go to that level, beyond that level. What am I doing to myself and to others? How much am I adding to the movement of Srila Prabhupada? What are all the aspects of service that I'm taking? So that is the evolution. That's the question that we have asked. So the Brahma Jignasa. The whole thing evolved because we asked to start to ask questions. So evolution of consciousness happens when we ask questions, when we get the answers for it, we become better and better and better in our questions. So if someone goes into that consciousness and that thought process, he's no more childish in this manner. So that's the point I'm trying to say here. Because many times we see while chanting, while the Srimad Bhagavatam classes, there's inattentiveness. We should get it out. That's the point. So that's my answer to the first one. I don't know how much it helped you. Thank you.
That's all they gave.
So, second question is more complicated. Anybody want help? Just pass them. Okay.
Status quo.
Don't have. No.
That's fine.
Thank you. Maybe we can have an offline conversation on this subject matter.
Maybe when I give a class, I give a
Oh, he knows the answer, but he wants to test it. That's not how Bhagavatam works. Bhagavatam has to be on a platform. You should not just speak.
Hope I'm not testing you.
Okay, any other questions from Prabhus and Mataris? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for the next question. So you mentioning how Pandavas saw all their troubles as parts of the God, from Krishna basically. So how is it that we can cultivate this habit to some extent? We do get a lot of troubles, but we see them way that, oh, I'm such a nice person, why I'm getting troubles? So I would think,
That's standard from the thoughts.
yeah, so how do we cultivate this habit of seeing positivity in it?
Yeah, correct. So Krishna says in the second chapter, Matra Sparshastra Panteya, Sitoshna Shukra Dukkha. So happiness, distress, success, failures are part of life. Right? If we mature ourselves, then we will see in a unified direction. If bhakti is ekanta bhakti, then you will see these disturbances are coming to enhance my bhakti. So I'll just take an example. Now let's say I made something in my spiritual life. A senior of mine came and corrected me. I can have two kinds of path I can take. Who the hell is he to correct me? Become revengeful. I take the next opportunity to show him what is this. So that I can take that path. The second path I can take is, hey, the Lord as Paramatma, the Nami Bhakti Yoga, right? Same thing. He's trying to teach me, but he's using that senior devotee as an instrument. Nimitra Matra, Sadishakshi. He's using him as an instrument to address a problem that I'm causing. Right? If I have knowledge, if I develop application of knowledge, then I use both, then I go on. Okay, now I can become a better devotee. The whole life is about evolution in our consciousness. Right? Krishna says, doesn't see the quantity of your service. Krishna sees the quality of your consciousness, quality of your service. Right? We have to measure how much are we evolving towards it. If you're able to evolve, in this current example I gave, you develop qualities like humility, tolerance, will get closer to Krishna. When Sanatana Goswami, after hearing all the instructions from Mahaprabhu, he said, Mahaprabhu, I don't even come here, I want to go away. Because This entire body, this consciousness was developed by taking salary from a nature. So please don't even come to me. Mahaprabhu said, oh, no, came nothing. So he said, your humility is cracking my heart. Right? And he awarded him so much of mercy. So that is important to understand. When we learn all these things, it's like a Lego building blocks. You put together and say, okay, what is in it for me? And how do I shape this? Right? If you are in this mood, I'm sure we'll all evolve into better and better devotees as days to come. No one is perfect. All of us is in this journey to perfect ourselves. But we help each other to evolve better. So that's the goal. I hope I answered.
Yes.
Correct. One last question. Yes.
Hare Krishna. How do we see ourselves since in every given situation? How do we see that we are humble and graceful? Like, there are times when like your conscious.
There are many answers to your question, but I can just take one flavor of the answer. We generally think we are doers. We never think we are an instrument in doing an action. We keep thinking we deserve that rather than thinking that it is a mercy to us or what it is. Like this, if you look at certain aspects of what our position is, when we look at Krishna, we look at it from our point of view. I'll give an example. When Krishna lifted over the hill, the devotees and non-devotees both commented. The non-devotees are thinking, hey, how is it possible to lift such a big hill? Maybe he lifted a small hill and then the author described that in a very elaborate manner. So the non-devotees can comment like that. But look at it from Krishna's point of view. He says, Aham sarvasya prabhu atlas sarvam pravartata. I created this entire world with a fraction of my energy. When I can do that, to lift this golden hill is of any significance to me. But we get bewildered because we are seeing it from our point of view. So similarly, when we see everything from our point of view, we become the center of the whole topic of conversation of the thought process. And hence, that will be an impediment for your humility. Look at yourself as a personality given an opportunity to play a part role in that particular moment or a situation. Then you will see humility starts to manifest. The moment we think we are indispensable, humility doesn't come. And that is the biggest problem. This is one angle of answer that I can give. There are many ways this can be answered. Thank you. Okay, so we will end today's Bhagavatam class. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gurudev ki, Sai Gaur Premanande, Pancha Kalpa